The Bears fans should they be worried? How did you see their offseason? Andy Dalton comes in.
I'm always
The failed
worried.
coup at Russell Wilson.
Okay, so if I'm thinking about free agency, right, and I'm thinking about where I want to go, why would Chicago be my destination? Honestly. And this is because you've got a lame duck coach in Matt Nagy. You got a lame duck general manager in Ryan Pace. And why I call him lame duck is because they were told they're coming back, but this is a 1-year situation. So it's almost as if, and I remember I had a coach telling me, he said, sometimes you don't want to go to a place where the boat's already sinking, right? Why would you jump on board a boat that's already kind of going down? Mm-hmm. Because they got to save their butts. They got to figure out, how do we win right now and right away? And you look at that roster right now currently, people forget they did make the playoffs last year. They did. It's not like they were a bad team and they were down there at the bottom of the NFC.
They were 5-1 to start the year.
They actually were of the 7 best records in the NFC out of 16. It's not terribly bad, but they want to see more results. And so where do those results come from? Where would the decisions be made? And at the end of the day, who is going to be in it for themselves and not in it for the team? That's what happens, because sometimes you get finger pointing, and this is 1 year. So does Matt Nagy say, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out my way? And now Ryan Pace, who's the general manager, well, we're going to go out with these players.
Right.
And so that, to me, is sort of where I don't believe in the Chicago Bears because of that dynamic, because a lot has to happen for them in order to get them to become one of those upper echelon teams of the NFC, because they don't have the signal caller because of the drafting of Mitch Trubisky. Look, Mitch Trubisky at the beginning, was he overdrafted? Yes. I think it was Mitch Trubisky. Was he available later in the draft? Possibly. Yes, he could have been. I don't know if people were trading up to get Mitch Trubisky, especially we see the other quarterbacks who were drafted after him. But still, they blew that. That alone is something that is almost kind of, you can't get from underneath. You can't get from out of that. That's who you are.
So then how does Ryan Pace still have his job?
Yeah. That's
because when you take a big swing like the Bears did on a quarterback, you trade up to get the guy.
Correct.
And now that guy is not on your team anymore. He's now a backup in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Then how does the guy who made the decision still have decision-making capabilities with your organization?
Because they did still go to the playoffs in his, 3 or 4 seasons for Trubisky. It's not like they didn't make the playoffs. They made the playoffs a couple times. And then also they had a guy by the name of Khalil Mack as well.
Oh, right.
He made for that trade. Yeah. So he's made some moves, but the most important move is the quarterback. You get that move right, then people tend to be a little lenient with you.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, okay, he's okay. But this one is a little bit different because they went all in on Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, and it failed.
It failed. It failed miserably.
And your wide receiver's unhappy. You had to let go of your, all-pro safety. It just hasn't gone well. Ryan Leaf sat in yesterday and said that he doesn't really put the blame really on Mitch. The team around Mitch was terrible.
Yeah, but they still went to the playoffs, though. They went to the playoffs. I mean, they were
they're one and done.
Yeah, but they were they were a double doink away from advancing in the playoffs, getting to a divisional round. Like, there are some things, like, what if Trubisky did get to the divisional round, and I believe, who missed that kick? Was it, I can't think of his name.
Cody Parkey.
Parkey, it was Parkey.
We just call him Doink Doink.
Doink around these.
I thought it was Parkey or not, because I saw he got released or he got signed the other day. I forgot who. I'm like, he's still kicking for the Browns, I believe. But anyway, the double doink, and all of a sudden Trubisky's starting a divisional round game. And I mean, I saw him make plays and I saw him not make plays. He made Pro Bowls, but still, I think you still get a little bit of a pass. I think the hard part is that the guys who were just drafted after him. Yeah. If there was quarterbacks drafted after him that didn't really pan out, it's one thing. We're talking about Watson. We're talking about Mahomes. And you're like,
two top 5 guys.
We passed up on those 2 guys and got this. And now it's like that investment that you have. At the end of the day, you have nothing left. Like, that investment is dried up, is gone. So you wasted all that draft capital to trade with the 49ers to get up to number 2 to get Mitch Trubisky. Wasn't worth it.
Yeah, now the quarterbacks they're left with going into 2021, fine guys.
Yeah.
Super Bowl MVP, Nick Foles, and now Andy Dalton that the social media team at the Bears have declared as QB1.
Man. When they found out they weren't getting Russell Wilson, because look, they tried to make a pull at. I think that was Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy realizing, look, this is our last year. If we don't get this thing right, we are done. So I see why you give up, it is like 2 or 3 first-round picks, a couple of starters, and yet Seattle said that's not good enough for us because they need that kind of player. They need that next – because these quarterbacks on the roster still – they're just holdovers. They're still not quarterbacks for the future.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.